webinar control panel to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you.
We've basically, we've clearly covered everything I can cover in order flow education. This is now wrapping up just some loose ends for some of you. As I'm going through this, if you guys have any questions, anything that comes to mind, let me know. But in any event, guys, today is our 22nd class. I do have some questions. I'm not sure if Ken is in the room, but Ken answers or asks. I sometimes shy away from trades if I see that I'll be trading into a sell zone, assuming going long, or a buy zone, assuming going short. Watching you trade, you frequently ignore these zones and take trades away, saying it will take time to get through the zone. How do I decide to respect a zone or to try to trade through it? The answer to that is, one, I'm looking at my delta, whether I'm long or short. And two, I do expect a rejection, at a zone. So, again, I wasn't here for this previous candle, but we've obviously got a sell zone in this area. I don't know what this did on the move up. We could have moved up, pulled back, and gone again. Remember, zones, right, are merely support or resistance. And the more time support and resistance is hit, obviously the less value it has, right? Usually we'll reject off a fairly significant support or buy or sell zone. We're going to, get a little bit of a pullback. I've demonstrated that repeatedly in class in the trades that we've taken. I've drawn the boxes, and I would suggest, Ken, that you go back through all the videos ad nauseum, because I do have trades in there where I've shown rejection zones, but we do go through them. If that were the case, we'd hit a rejection zone on an up move and never go back up. We'd hit a support zone on the bottom and never go lower, right? So some of these questions are going to be asked, or at least answered, I should say, by you guys with screen time. You're going to have to trade. And you're going to have to, see it. There may not be a sell zone up in, there's a sell zone up in here. So if I squish up my order flow, I can say, all right, well, I basically have a sell zone in here. It's been tested already, so that's moot. That's irrelevant. We've already tested it. But as you can see, we've been through it, into it a number of times, right? Here's our current candle. We've been into this sell zone a number of times. Do you not think we're going higher? Do you think we've capped out for the day? I don't think so. So it's a question of pushing into the zone. You can see in this candle back here with 211 sellers, they try to press it out. We popped up to the zone, some sellers. The sellers are trying to maintain control of this, but they're going to lose. They're going to lose. There's too many buyers on the day. And eventually this is going to pop through the top at 02, and this is going to go long, right? So once we get through this swing here at 01, we've got to get through 02 where the big seller is sitting now, but this is a long. So you can't allow a zone other than the first touch to have any impact, generally speaking, on your trade. If you elect to take a long, what you need is buyers. You must have buyers. I don't know what I just did, but whatever it is. Hang on, Edward, thank you. But the more times we come through a zone, we're going to work through it. We're clearly in an uptrend. We obviously have had some sell pressure over lunch, the close of Europe, etc. But we're going to go through it. You cannot allow a sell zone to determine if well, I'm not going to take a trade because I see sellers from before, or I'm not going to take a short because I see buyers. I expect it to bounce once, maybe twice, but if that's the direction of our trade. That's why I only trade in one direction generally. I don't try to catch longs and shorts. So for instance, today, I'm looking for longs. I'm looking to buy every zone I can. Here's the zone. There's the zone there. Yeah, absolutely. You would have to, you would have to believe we are longs with today's current delta. I mean, the market doesn't have or show any signs of coming down. Now let's see. Ken asked another question. When NQ is near the high, you rarely take a trade. I don't buy breakouts on rare occasion. So that ends that. You wait for a pullback. How do you determine where to get in? Buy zones. What have we been doing for 24 weeks? 22 weeks this week. If I'm looking for a long up near the highs, I'm clearly looking for longs. I look for buy zones, just like this here. That's a zone. Or, here, I could buy it here and trade it up into the high, the high. It's a long. I can key off that 197 buyer with 30. Somebody just bought 30 contracts. I could take that trade right there. Long, long, long. Sometimes you call trades in an area where there is no apparent support. That would be untrue. Maybe not apparent to you. What are you looking for? And is it a minimum? No. So our pullbacks are not predicated on points. We've pulled back 5 points. Time to get in. That doesn't exist. My entries are based on what I've shown you guys over 22 weeks. I look for a zone. I have one here. Have one there. But again, where else would I want to get in? There's a zone there. This zone hasn't been tested. Right here. All the way through here, there's a buy zone. Actually, we've tested it once, the top of that zone. So now I may say, okay, let me narrow it down to this zone here. It happens to be just above VWAP, right? So if we're in the room and my order flow is normal, showing in the room a normal size, which is basically here, and I say, I'm looking for a long on the NASDAQ about 71, and we're at 02, and you say, yeah, but I don't see it. Okay, maybe you don't, but there's a zone there. And that zone merely came from me closing up the chart so that I can go further back in time. Those zones don't lose relevance 10 candles later, 15 candles later, 20 candles later, etc. The zones are still there. Does that make sense? Okay. Ken? Okay. All right, Terry. Thanks again for your course. It's been an eye-opener, and for the first time I feel that I can actually make a living with trading. I only need one instrument, NQ, and I can hit my daily goal. I was reluctant to pay more money after having paid a lot over the last 4 years trying to learn how to trade, but this has been the best investment I've ever made and the only one that actually works for me. Thanks again. For our class this week, can I ask you to tell us more about your favorite trade you mentioned last week? You briefly talked of a breakthrough, a level, then a pullback entry like a whiplash effect. Favorite setups are great secrets to have. So if you have a couple, my favorite setup is when we blow through overbought or oversold. Terry, if you're in the room, I like anybody take this long when I said longs? Anybody take that long? You probably want to come out about 10 half. If anybody, okay, Mac, of course, Mac. Yeah, maybe 10 half for target one, 10 to 10 half, fellas. Okay, guys. That would be your first target on those of you that took it. But in any event, so my favorite trades are when we get usually with high volatility, when we either come through the 95, we rip up and then pull right back through. Same with the bottom. That's my favorite trade because I know we're overbought or oversold. When we get these, inch, Vince Lombardi trades, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, these are not going to give you those slingshot type trades, but it could happen at any level. Okay. So those of you guys that took that trade, you should have somewhere around 6, 7, 8 handles in it. You made a little bit of money for coming in today, but it would be the same thing like here. We break down through the 68 and then we immediately pop right back up through. Now, we're not going to see a ton of those trades in the summer months, maybe at the opening. But, throughout the course of the day after 10:30, 10:45, the markets get a little slow. And, the volatility is wanes. So when you see them, all they are is, a quick snap through a level and a quick snap back up through that level. Terry, are you in the room? Terry? Okay, he's not. I don't think he's in the room. It is 7 o'clock where he's at. But that's my favorite trade, guys. In any event, I like momentum. You guys probably know that by now. All right, John Spalding. Let's see here. You have done an outstanding job showing us how to buy and buy zones and sell zones. Also, you have shown us how to buy and sell as price crosses, recrosses, VWEB 68.95. How do we handle this? Prices going up and crosses above a rising 68 or 95. As I've explained to you, no, I did not call you Kieran. As I've explained to you guys, I don't like taking trades above the 95 unless the high of the day gives me a fair distance for a trade. Okay. So right now we've got the 95 basically at the high of the day. I wouldn't take a trade up here. That's me. I'm not a breakout trader. Ordinarily the 95, remember it's 95% from VWAP. So there generally isn't a whole lot of room between the 95 and the high of the day. Now, depending on the volatility, I may consider that trade, but generally speaking, I don't like trading above the VWAP or above the 95 into the high of the day. Now, it's a valid trade. You can trade it if you'd like, but it's not a trade that I generally take. So let's address crossing a rising 68. Price reverses and recrosses that level with stacked seller imbalances taken out a previous swing low, and we take a short trade and set targets at necklines. But we notice a strong buy zone is just 5 or 10 ticks below. Would you not? No. We fouled the 68. Would you not be taking a long in that buy zone instead of taking the short that we just opened? I ask this because sometimes you show great buys from the buy zone seemingly without regard for the 68 or 95. So again, I only generally trade in one direction. Even in a massive sell-off, like if this market just for whatever reason sold off, even if we sold 2,500 contracts, I'd still have 2,600 net buyers in here today. I'm looking for the longs. I'm telling you guys as traders, it is very difficult unless you are uber skilled to trade both sides of a trade. I'm long, then I'm short, I'm back long, then I'm back short. You guys will have conflicting trades, and depending on what your goal is, 10 ticks, 15 ticks, maybe. But if you guys are trying to catch both ends of a trade, you're going to screw yourselves up. My opinion. I don't generally do it. What I generally look for one direction. Today, from the get-go at 8 o'clock this morning, or at 9:30 on the market open, and you guys can watch the video on YouTube, I said 47, I'd like to see 15. 47 may be all we get on the pullback. It pulled back to 43, and it's not looked back since 43. So I was only looking for longs. That's all I'm interested in. The question becomes, where do you get in? If you're only looking for longs, now you have to seek places to constantly get long. Pulls up, goes up, pulls back. I got a buy zone here. That whole zone right in there. I've got one down here, which, so the question is, all right, well, now if I want to take a long trade, where do I take it? Probably right here, 05. 05. I'm not looking for the short off the high of the day, one tick lower high, and I want to short it back to that zone. And then when I get there, I'm going to take the short off and try to go long again. I'm not doing that. That's, for me, is very difficult, especially in the room. I'll have guys that are still short when I'm long, still long when I'm short. Pick a direction you wish to trade. I don't care if it's shorts or longs, whatever you think you want to trade. And then you look for the areas to get in. Even in an uptrend, you can still attempt shorts. We looked for stack seller imbalances. We trade back up into the zone. You can try the short. They're lower probability, right? But because we're above VWEB and we have a huge positive delta today, but you can short if you want. I look for the longs generally. That is the direction that I generally prefer to trade, are the longs. Does that make sense, John? Okay. Derek, questions for class. Can you walk us through your pre-market routine? I've done that. I do that every single day in class, in the room. Are you not in the room at 8 o'clock in the morning? I do that every single day. Same thing. I come in. Hello, Marco. I come in. I look at my order flow. I see where I'm at. I'm above or below VWAP. What is my daily delta? All that does, and I've addressed this, all that does is give me an idea of what Asia and Europe has thought about the market. That gives me somewhat of a bias. Once I determine to take a trade based on my initial bias, today I am longs. That doesn't change unless I'm below VWAP. Then I'm looking possibly for shorts. So my pre-market routine is no different than what I do every single day in the room. I come in, I tell you guys what I have on deltas across the board. I then check my news service, which happens to be Trade the News. I pay $185 a month for the news. If you guys want to get Trade the News service, www.tradethenews.com. Go get it. But there are free services out there. I want to know, do I have anything at 8:30 that's going to affect pre-market trading? Do I have anything at 9 o'clock or 9:45 or whatever the case may be? Is there news today that's going to affect trades that I'm considering right now? If so, I generally wait till 8:30 news is out. But that's my, pre-market, next, specific settings. I have no idea what you mean by specific settings. Oh, not specific settings, but how you use them to see the big picture. Confirm trades, market directions, reversals, breakouts, targets. Derek, are you in the room? I mean, you're asking me essentially, I'm being, essentially what's being asked of me is an entire recap of the 6 months. And he's not even in the room. Okay. So you're in the room. Tell Derek, whittle this down because you've asked me essentially for 10 things. Tell me at the crux of this where you're confused or what you don't understand. What don't you understand? What specifically can I answer? I have taught you guys, I'm going to circle these because there's so many of them. I've taught you how to find targets using time frames aside from our 68, 95, etc. Breakouts, I'm not a breakout trader. Reversals. I mean, again, all of this, okay, so you said I've already covered it. This has all been covered, and this is just kind of asking for a recap of the 6 months. What I'm going to do once we end this, not today's class, but once we end the classes, I'm going to do, and it was asked by Terry, I'm going to do one last video for you guys, which is an overview. Inevitably, I won't cover some question that some of you have. And just because the class, ends, doesn't mean that you guys can't email me questions, right? That never ends. You guys all have a 2-year membership. And over the course of the remaining membership period, whatever that, some of you is longer or shorter, but over the course of the remaining year and a half or year or whatever it is, depending on when you join the room, if you guys ever have a question, all you have to do is email me. I'll always answer the questions. Let me ask you guys this. Is there anybody that's trading order flow with a degree of consistency? I know you are, Chris. Paul, I know you are. Okay, John, good. Tokina, good. Okay, Edward, why? Are you using it? Is there anybody that's basically now completed this course and has no freaking clue? Is there anybody that just has no freaking clue? Be honest. Doesn't behoove you not to be. Is there anybody in here that seriously just does not get even the basics? I mean, listen, guys, learning to trade order flow is a lot like any other endeavor. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. I don't care if it's bodybuilding, I don't care if it's distance running, it doesn't matter what it is. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. If you're the kind of this is not specific to anybody. If you're the kind of person that is easily defeated, I tried it 5, 10 times, 15 times, I give up. Then that's your general mantra in life. If you're the kind of person that says, I am never going to give up, because if I learn to do this, I have all the financial freedom I want in the world, then you will get it. But you have to practice this. I've said this, guys, many, many, many times in class. You graduate from high school, you did, decent enough to get into a college, maybe the college of your choice. And you go to college, and you or your parents, you take out a student loan, or your parents pay the, whatever the case may be, $45,000 a year, which is what I pay for my daughter at this point. There is no guarantee that you get a college degree. None. Just because you paid the money and showed up. If you don't do the work, there's no guarantee that you will get a degree. Nobody in admission says, if you come here, you're getting a degree. Just show up. We all know what goes into getting a 4-year degree or greater than that. You have to do the work. You have to show up in class. You have to do the work. And in this instance, doing the work is, if you don't understand something, go back through the videos one by one over. That's why I record them and painstakingly take the time not only to send them out vis-a-vis benchmark, but to send them to each of you individually. Not only will B's and C's get you a degree, so will a D. Hell, all you got to do is be your average utter moron and have a 2.0 grade point, and you can still play NCAA athletics. I love that, Fred. How you do anything is how you do everything. When I first started learning order flow, it was like hieroglyphics. This made no sense to me. And in my case, and I'm a fairly quick study. I pick stuff up quickly. It took me about 6 months. So I understand if this doesn't come easily to some of you, or didn't come quickly, or may not be coming quickly. It did not come quickly to me. So I understand that. And I think I'm a pretty reasonably smart guy. It took me about 6 months to pick up order flow. But on weekends, I was spending 4, 5, 6 hours a day on Saturdays and Sundays doing market replay and going back through order flow, back through each day and trading each day as if it were live. The only way you guys are, that may be like any group, you've got people that will excel. You have people that will do okay, and you have people that will fail. That's any group. And the only thing that separates the people that fail from the people that excel is a little bit of work. That's it. Okay, nice job, Michael. Absolutely, Mac. Absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, indicators are great when they work, right? So the indicators that, let's face it, order flow is an indicator, isn't it? I mean, it's not a naked chart, it's an indicator. So, these arrows are great and they'll get you great trades. Maybe not every trade, but but neither does order flow. These will get you great trades. And they're a great assistant. They're a great assistant. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to take the place, in my opinion, from understanding buyers and sellers at levels. What do we do at levels? Okay. In my opinion, if you learn order flow, you generally should be able to find trades that make you money as long as you understand levels, stacked buyer or stacked seller imbalances, momentum trades, zones. See, now we're coming down through this zone. I told you it wasn't a big zone. These, small little zone in here. Bigger zone is back here. I mean, Chris is in the room. Guy's made almost $2 million. Maybe more than 2 million at this point since he's been a member. 6 months. Mac does very well. Ray does very well. They're all trading order flow. So it can be done. But you're going to have to put the work in, guys. Nope. Nope. We're just updating some things, Paul. I'm not going to go into and all of it will be a free upgrade for you guys. The updates are free. So we are updating the order flow. We're doing some different things. I think one of the, some of the things I'd like to see are maybe the point of, the volume profile in the candle. We'll see. I got some ideas. We already have that. The candle opened here in this particular candle. I already know where it opened, right here. That's the candle open. That's a wick. It's all right, buddy. It's all right, buddy. You're good. You'd like to ask about market depth. When you see a large bid below the order flow candle, a large offer above the order flow, how do you account for this in order flow trading? Do these large bids or offers become targets? They can. How do you, these numbers, they don't really, George. I just know, what I like, for instance, I've got what looks like the big offer here at 406. I know that if I take a long, I'm going to have to bid through 406 to keep going higher. I mean, I assume, I assume that if we're moving higher, eventually we're going to work through somebody trying to sell. Same thing with lower. If you're short and you got a big buyer, we may get a bounce off those numbers. But again, guys, don't get, at the end of the day, if you elect to take a short, right? We're coming down into my buy zone now. Hang on, Snoopy. I want to be just above that buy zone. I want to be above the buy. I mean, this buy zone, theoretically, I could encompass this. That's where I want to buy, right there. I don't want to be so exact that I miss a trade. And I may not get this trade. We're holding the point of control. But if this comes down through 96, that's where I want to be a buyer. With a stop below that swing. Now that may be overkill. I don't necessarily need to be there, but that's my swing low. 77. You could get away with the bottom of the zone, maybe here, 85. Let's see if we can get us a trade. I mean, that's a trade I'm willing to take if I can get it. Come on, break 95. Don't be a chump. Double bottoming on a 5-minute. No such thing, Mac. Oh, I've been known to chase a trader 200 in my life because some people associate some people get more out of being in the trade. I'm trying to think of how to say this. Some people get more excitement out of being in a trade than they have fear of losing money. I haven't, I admittedly, I will never make the amount of money that Chris makes. Admittedly, I have a greater fear of losing money than I do making money. Now, that may not make a whole lot of sense in the business that we're in, but time has taught me that every time I did something that went against what I was thinking, right? When I acted emotionally and chased a trade, time has taught me that I will lose money more often than not. And as I've tried to teach you guys, there will be a trade to do at 1:30 this afternoon, 3:15 today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. The money that I do not lose today is money that I can trade tomorrow or money that I can trade next week, and so on and so forth. So I don't generally, 98 times out of 100, I do not get FOMO. Now, like anybody, I am prone to an emotion, but I have lost enough money in one lifetime having learned to trade, or while I was going, learning to trade, that the pain of, $15,000 hit is more overwhelming to me than the satisfaction I would get over making 15,000. Does that make sense? I admittedly will never make the kind of money that Chris makes. But I think to be a good trader, you guys each of us have to acknowledge our limitations, our motivations, and why we're doing what we're doing. I do not have as good a trader as I think I am, and I think I'm pretty good. I do not have the ability to take a 50 contract trade. I've never done it. I have done 20s. My comfort zone is 10 max for me, because especially with the NASDAQ that I trade, and we're not going to get it. Because especially with the NASDAQ, which I trade a lot, I am prone to taking a 15, 20 point hit. 20 points is, let me put this in perspective. 20 points is $400 per contract. Let's assume, for the sake of conversation, I had Chris's heart and I could trade 100. That's a $40,000 spanking. I've thrown away a boat on one trade, if I'm wrong. I've thrown away a Rolex if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong twice, there's no good dinners for $40,000, dude. No, I've never had a $40,000 dinner. Yeah. So I don't like going to Ruth Chris and spending $500. But in any event, for me as a trader, I know what my capabilities are. I know what I'm capable of trading that keeps me in a relative comfort zone. So if a trade goes against me, I've got 6 contracts on and I lose $2,500 on a trade, 3,000 on a trade. I don't lose any sleep over that because I know I can get that back. So each of you have to find a comfort level. If 3 contracts minis makes you uncomfortable, then trade 2 or trade 1. But you want to be able to trade what allows for you to stay in the trade and assume some risk. 3% of your account size at any given time. And there you go. Guys, we may not get this pullback, but I still think that, that's the entry. It's going to have to come through 95, this 95.50, and then we might get this trade. We're holding the point of control, right? Kind of makes sense. We're in an uptrend. They want to stay above the point of control. And I'm not going to get this trade, which is fine. If I don't get it, I don't get it. I have a higher probability of making money if I get it at 93. Now, there's another trade here at 02 quarter, but we trade up into 08 quarter. You can take that 02 quarter and try to trade it up to maybe 7 quarter. I would rather get this pullback into this cushion buy zone and then ride it back up this way. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But Mac, I hope that answers your question. I will tell you this relative to your question. When I do at times, like for instance, I want to buy 93. If I wasn't in this room and I wasn't, thinking about all of the people that, potentially, are following, right? Then I may sometimes be tempted to jump into a trade. All right, here we go. There we go. So I told you what my stop was on this trade. $77. We're not bouncing quickly out of the zone. I'm watching my delta. You do have sellers. 3, watch your delta. Buyers are not really stepping in. Our negative delta is trying to increase. Buyers are trying now. But I know I'm going to fight all this. Look at my delta. Look at my delta. Look at my delta. 500 sellers. My delta is not dissipating. This is probably our afternoon pullback. That would have been your stop. If you used the stop, I said you could get away with that. We're at the bottom of the zone. Watch the delta. 488, 489, 84, 87, 88, 85, 75, 62, 40 buyers. So when you guys hear me say in the room, there's small buyers coming in, I'm watching this, 29, 31, 32, 39, sellers again. Sellers, we're right to the bottom of the candle. We're not going to bounce. We're not going to bounce. Now we're going to struggle here. Boy, I'm glad I got ticks to give. We're going to struggle these two places. If this can get back close to this, we're not going to bounce. We're going to sell off down to 75 is what it looks like. We're coming to VWAP. I'm out of the trade. I know enough to take a loss. I'm done. Now, the next candle, they could come back in with buyers, for all I know, but I'm not going to hold it. So there's a failure. I still don't want to be short. Technically, you could have shorted into the buy zone, and it would have been a good trade. But what I'm watching is this delta. Look, we're increasing. This is just probably ripping up some stops. That's it. We're probably coming down to 75. Maybe lower. The bottom of the zone here is 78. We may come down here to 71. Your big buyers here at 70. But again, I waited for the trade to come to me. I didn't chase it. Was, poor results on the trade. Anybody have any questions, fellas? Anything else? Fight here at 80. Yeah, I'm still not. I think we're going to break and come to 75. And then we're probably coming to VWAP is how I see it. Look, we've been up all day. Usually, I would have thought we'd get this pullback. I mean, this is probably, yeah, I see it right here, 107. This is probably the afternoon pullback between usually 1:30, 2 o'clock or 2:30 area, that hour. We get a pullback and maybe, for the longs this afternoon. That would have been a hell of a short. There's 75, 74. Here's VWAP. They're selling them pretty good, guys. They've sold 695 and 46,000, 1,100 contracts in 2 candles. In any event, if anybody has questions for next week's class, email them to me next week. Nice job, Paul. Paul was short from the 95 based on order flow. You're welcome. If anybody has questions for next week's class, just email them to me. Okay? You're welcome, Chris. Guys, I'll record this video and send it